yeah, I've kind of been intrigued by you, you know, because we're big Damo and Ivor fans in this house.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, yeah,
Jesus.
huge. Yeah, yeah. And I just that you weren't actually that guy. That's called acting, isn't it?
It
That's what
is.
that's called.
It is funny when you meet
Amazing.
people, and especially I lived 3 years in 4 years in Enniskerry, and
Where
you'd
did
be
you live?
little Newtown.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So why
We
did I
m-
never see you here?
we did. We met for about 30 seconds.
We did.
One, our son was a week old, and you
Yes.
were very nice. You were stopping. You have a baby out at a week old. We're like, yes, because
Yes.
fucking yes, Christ, yes,
Yes, because we're going to kill each other if we
yeah,
don't
yeah,
leave
yeah,
the
yeah.
house.
But it is funny, like if you queue in for coffee or whatever, and they go, "Here's again," you're like,
Yeah, that's the guy.
"Oh yeah," and they're like, "Oh, right, right."
Thought you were one of us guys. Jesus. No, right.
Yeah, I think I was the probably the only person aside from Grano who wasn't from where they were supposed to be from. So
Okay.
yeah, everybody else was kind of they were from the real thing, but me was just sure was just taking the piss. I didn't, to be honest with you, Craig. It was the first bit of acting I ever did.
Is that
Really, really.
right?
I did
Oh,
comedy
right.
sketches for Republic of Telly and stuff, but
Yeah,
sure,
yeah,
and even still, I didn't know what I was at. Like so,
yeah.
no, and there was next to no direction. They were like, "You just keep going, Tom," and they'd film it and they'd cut out the best bits. It was
I
the
loved
most,
it.
yeah.
It was so good. It was so good. Oh my God, I loved it. It was so good. What are you in your garage? What are you in there?
Oh, I built a studio. I built it so
Okay. Oh,
you
look at that.
see, it, it,
Oh, nice.
it was either that, like I was looking at a shed, and a shed out was going to be 1,200 quid for a thing that I could actually fall through the side of. So when
Yeah.
I'll just fucking build it out of plywood, like
Oh, well done.
as simple as that. So
So it's in the house, is it?
no,
In a
no,
room in the
it's
house.
this is an advice I would give to anybody. If it's only 7 feet from your house,
Yeah.
have something to go to
Yeah,
outside
yeah.
the house.
You bet. You bet. I have one, but it's turned into a gym now for the kids during lockdown, and I have an office in Shankill, and that's now my sound. So if I didn't have COVID, I'd be in there, and it's great. I do everything from there. I sell. There's nothing I won't sell from in there. What windows? The people next door who are I don't know what they do. But like the man is next door shouting about windows or pet insurance.
Yes. I remember reading of people, but there was some, I don't know, cause some journo who like to use slang words, which I can't believe that journo is allowed to do that, but they were slagging you off for a Windows ad. And I'm like,
Oh
motherfucker, you would
yeah,
bite somebody's hand off for a
you
window
bet.
ad. Are you,
Yeah,
would you stop out of
I
that?
know. But people like, are we podcasting right now?
There
What's
we are.
happening?
We are, yeah.
Are we
Yeah,
in it? Are
yeah, we're
we
in
in?
it. We're in
Are
it.
we
We're in it.
in?
We're in it.
um, the people will do that. Now, I made an error early on where I couldn't. I was with the BBC forever. You know, I went there as a young fella, and I when I left, you're like, I'm allowed to do adverts now, and so I just said yes to everything because I hadn't earned any money. I was skint, and so you do a lot. People get upset. I'm doing the Windows 11 years now, and I've been through. I mean, there it's such a long time, and but I love them. They're great. I don't. I love Windows obviously because you can see through the stuff. They're made of glass.
There's so
They're,
many positives to
they're
Windows.
so. I mean, without them, the world would be darker, and stuff. But they also pay well, and I've been doing them a long time. And yeah, people just get annoyed, don't they? Oh, cheek of him earning a
Yeah.
living.
How dare you?
Cheek of him, Jesus.
Yes,
I
Mattress Mick can make a prick of himself selling mattresses.
oh
I know
no.
they think it's gas.
Oh, I know. But like I've always had that. Yeah, I've always had that. In England, I don't get that at all. Now people shouted at me and chant Windows stuff to me
Do they?
constantly. And yeah, and at rugby grounds, you know, I'll go, oh, I Craig, or sell us a window, and you know, I love it actually. Leicester Tigers recently, I was there, and I was in front of the stand. There's about 5,000 people in the stand. They're like, oh, wait, come on, Doyle, sell us a window. And I looked up, and one guy's, are you going to sell us a window? I said, the guy's about 60. I said, I will when you move out of your mother's house. And they all turn on him then, you know,
Mwah.
and it's great fun.
Oh,
It's
that's
banter, fun banter, nice stuff.
yeah.
Um, doesn't happen as much over here. I just because they just
It's a weird
whatever
one, all
silly
right.
about it.
It is a weird one.
Yeah.
I think, do you know, it's down to the numbers game. And I've worked this out before. Like I used to do this on a bit on stage where there's only 5 million of us max. So we all kind of think we're class. Whereas when you got 50, 60 million people on an island that isn't that much bigger than Ireland, all of a sudden it's the ant effect, like in Minions when they're all the claw, or they're all look.
Yeah.
So you do anything that steps outside of that, awesome.
Yeah.
Whereas in Ireland, a fella plowing the fields go, I can fucking sell windows, not a bother. Yeah, I can sell windows.
Yeah.
But to speak of Damon Ivor, and you talk about whatever to do with pride or manners. I remember Rick Mail, the great Rick Mail, telling me, I was asked, because he'd never been to Ireland before. He was just not properly, he'd passed through it or whatever, but he just couldn't get over the food standard, the standard of food or whatever. And I've spent,
That's so funny, isn't it?
That was it.
I know.
And you're probably thinking the same thing, Tom. Never have an English sausage. Never have an English sausage.
Don't have it. Why would you ever? Even like they try and pull off the rich. I'm not knocking a Richmond sausage, right?
Oh, they're rough, Craig.
But
come on. You're not knocking them because you might get an ad.
And compared to, well, there might be one. I'll do that. Richmond sausages, a taste of home. I like any sausage. I love a very cheap sausage.
Yeah.
Like I love a cheap sawdust sausage. Especially from like an English cafe. And
lovely.
Red bran, please, bran sauce. And the bread is just like that. That bread that goes on your teeth. I love that. I love a good cheap sausage. But nothing. Now, an Irish sausage it's a different level, isn't it? Different level, like a Super Quince or whatever they're called now. That's a great sausage.
Well, I think they still use the Super Quinn name, even though it's Musgraves or whatever. But we got spoiled here. You see, that's the thing. We got spoiled with good sausages. But that was his thing for the whole week. He must have put on a stone that week. He was in, and they had him staying in the, I suppose what is it? It's beside the Beacon. That hotel that's there.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
But he just ate steak like for lunch and everything. He was like, "How's your beef so good?" And I, being such a culture, I just couldn't keep it in anymore because everybody else at the table was just going, "I don't know, Craig. I don't know, Rick." And of course, I had to let it up. Well, I'll tell you if you want to know scientifically why it's good. But I said, "What's the crack?" I said, "What do you do?" I said, "You speak like you're still doing quite well. What's the crack? What do you do? Are you doing voiceover work? Are you doing ads?" He says, "The best thing I ever did is I cleared the mortgage," he said. He says, "I'm on a big fuck off house down the country." He said, "I live down the country." And what happened was he was after doing a bunch of the Nintendo ads for Game Boy. Okay. And they would give him a loose script and he'd go, "Yeah, that's shit." And just do it himself. He said, "I knew nothing about the games, nothing at all, but they put me in costume. I'd look at the set and go, this is what I'm saying." And they paid him something astronomical, like 2 or 3 million.
Oh my God.
And he's in the early 90s.
Yeah. Okay.
And they were on holiday in Somerset and he burst in for a slash, jumped out of the car, stood down a little lane. I was going, God, this would be a nice place to live. And his farmer just popped up behind a hedge. Now, whether he did or he didn't, it was a good part of the story.
Yeah.
He says, he peed all over himself. I said, "All right." He says, "How much to buy a house around here?" He says, "I have a house if you want to buy it." And he bought the guy's house bought a house that he had.
Really? And
he named it, how little he cared about people and its opinion on ads. He named it Nintendo Towers because he was able to pay cash. He says, take it. Because the money meant nothing to him. It was for the softest gigs he ever did.
Well, and as I sit here in Windows Villa, I
just one big greenhouse.
That story. As I sit here in double glazing villa.
Yes.
I get it. I get and understand and respect that. Yes. Because I often say to friends, the PVC stays white for life. And I built this house. Yeah. Let's be honest. You didn't think you'd be saying that today, did you? That's the Everest line. I'll tell you a funny story about the Everest adverts.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is so insane, right? So the first ever Everest advert was many, many years ago, right?
Yeah.
It was filmed up in a place called the Tan Hill Inn, which is up in the middle of the Pennines. It's the highest pub, higher than Johnny Fox's, right?
Okay.
It's the highest pub in England, way, way up in Yorkshire, right? And this place in the middle of nowhere. And so they filmed this advert. and it's great and it's very well known and blah, blah, blah. And then 20, 30 years, I come in as the new ambassador. They say, we're going to do the first ad there. Now, the owner of the pub is, she's I might get into trouble with this, but she's in an interesting, person. She lives in this pub up in the middle of nowhere in the Pennines. She has a pet sheep anyway.
Class.
And the pet sheep will come in and sit in front of the fire in this pub, right? In the middle of nowhere. And anyway, I got too close to the fire and its fleece went on fire, right? And and they had to put the sheep out, and it was on antibiotics. It was on antibiotics. So the night before we fitted we were doing the advert, a couple of fitters went up to fit the new windows in this pub, and she's chatting and I don't know what quite happened, but she was about to inject the sheep with the antibiotics, and the fitter annoyed her, and she just I stabbed him in the hand with the sheep antibiotics and plunged it into him. And we arrived the next day, and this guy's like, going to sue Everest. He's going to sue the sheep. He's going to sue. I'm like, this is I just came to sell a window. This is mental. Yeah. And it's been like, it's not always like that, but yeah, it was, that was the first ever one. And when I left the BBC, I had been with the BBC, like man and boy, really. I went to college in London. Am I saving you questions? Are you even interested?
You are absolutely saving me. This
Okay.
is what I wanted to know anyway, regardless.
Well, I'll give you the quick recap, right? So I go to London to do a postgrad in journalism in a place called the LCP. Now the LCC, the London College, is part of the London Institute. You know that song, I Met Her in St. Martin's College with
Yes.
Pulp, right?
Yeah.
That's the university, right? So they do this journalism postgraduate there. And I wanted to go there. My brother went there, and he was taken by the BBC when he was there. And they take in 25 a year, and you get onto that, you have a pretty good chance of getting a job with the BBC. So I was kind of over there, and I did that, and I got a job as a reporter with the BBC while I was in college. I was in the system, just that was it, and I was delighted with myself. And then all the BBC jobs and the Tomorrow's World and all that malarkey happened, and then I was in BBC Sport, and it was a bit hit and miss, and then it was a hit, and then it was a major miss, and then it became a hit again. And I was like, yeah, it's grand, but ITV approached me and they said, we're going to get some rugby in, and we'd like you to do some rugby. And I thought, geez, that would be great. I'd really fancy that. So I went back to the Beeb, and at the same time, the Windows people approached me, as ITV approached me. They said, we'd like you to be the ambassador. Ted Moult he's a long time gone. We'd like you to be the new Ted Moult. So I go, ITV come and say, will you come and join ITV Sport? I was doing bits and bobs. I was doing a bit of BBC Sport mainly, and I was at a radio show on Capital, and I was having a nice time, but it was quite varied. And they said, look, we'd love you to come. We just want you to come over just the whole lot. And at the same time, Everest approached me, and I went back to the Beeb, and they said, well, look, because it hadn't gone well with the Beeb, and it had gone well again, and they said, look, we're sorry what happened before. We'd love to sign you up for a long-term contract. I said, can I do adverts? And they said, no.
Ooh.
I said, no, I would not. I went back to ITV. I said, can I do adverts? They said, yes. I said, well, thank you very much. Where do I park? And that's where Everest began all those years ago, about 11 years ago. So, yeah, still with them.
You make it sound like the handiest whirlwind of all time, like a lad who just stood on a travelator and all of a sudden stuff is being thrown at you left, right, and centre.
Yeah.
Anybody who knows anything about telly, you must have sidestepped some amount of shite, like to stay current, man.
But I haven't, have I? Like I've got in. Have you not? I mean, it's two different worlds. It's the UK career and there's the Irish one. The Irish one was not good, but the English one was. I guess in England I was doing the stuff I know about, and in Ireland I was probably trying to do stuff I didn't know about. And that's the secret. Do what you know and do what you love, and when you do that, you usually be okay. So that's I think why it's worked over there. But no, I mean, like you have ups and downs all the time. What I've learned is that I think when I did the travel show, I thought that show when I was watched by a lot of people, the holiday program, and you go, I'm going to stop doing that now and I'll do some other stuff. But sure, it'll just keep coming, won't it?
Yeah, of course.
No, the phone. People aren't sitting there going. Executives don't wake up going, how can I help Craig or Tom?
No,
I couldn't give a shite about either.
No.
So I learned. And it took me a while to learn that you need to work very, very hard. and have a lot of humility, and be smart and be easy to work with, and make other people's days easier. And that's how it happens. And do things that pay badly but interest you. And once you're doing, I don't know, you find this time when you're busy, and more
Oh yeah.
stuff comes. But if you sit back waiting for stuff to happen, it doesn't happen. So look, there's been a lot of things that haven't worked, and there's been things that have worked, but only because I think I live in the space now that suits me, rather than trying to do the things that don't suit
That's a
me.
great place to get to, though, isn't it? That's
Takes a
kind of,
while.
it
Takes a
does
long
take
time.
a while. And I mean, you look back and it's like, ah, yeah, it zipped by. But then you start thinking, oh, that prick. Oh, that other prick. Oh, that other prick. Because I've my own dalliance also with RT as well. So, that
Yeah.
we can dance around that circle all evening.
Well, do you know though, on that, and I have to be careful what I say here, because I said something years ago on a podcast.
What did you say? What did you say?
I'm not going to repeat it, because I
Oh,
ended up.
it got you in proper
Well, it
trouble,
was
did it?
just a ridiculous. I just was asked a story. I asked about RTE, and I came up with a ridiculous, uh, you know. Well, it wasn't even a metaphor. It wasn't even anything clever, an anecdotal metaphor-y type thing,
Yeah.
just to try and sidestep it. And I just, next thing I know, the papers are giving out. Can you hear? Can you believe what Craig Doyle said about that person? It's like there's no other person. I just made up a story to compare. I'm not even going to. I'm scared to mention it again, because I don't want to bring all that stuff up. But it's. I look back at that stuff with RTE, and the panel worked really well, because
The
I had
panel was great.
great fun. I had comedians around me, and I just my what I'm really good at is not saying very much on television.
That's actually
It's
perfect. That's
allowing other clever people say stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Right? That's the key. And then suddenly, when you're the one who's meant to say all this stuff, and then they think you're going to be funny and you're not, that's when you have a problem. Because there's a big difference between someone who says funny stuff and a comedian. Because
Yeah,
you guys
yeah, yeah.
deliver material in just a different way. And that's why the comedians are hosting most of the shows now. They should be. They just deliver material so well. And I think I was kind of confused about what I was. I never thought I was a comedian, but you're trying to present in a funny way. It's annoying.
Of course it is, because you don't know which shoe you're supposed to be wearing or what hat you're supposed to, because
Yeah, but it's
it,
annoying for the people watching, Tom.
I
That's
suppose, but and
you
they
know.
don't know. The thing is, in the same breath, they don't know why you're good, and they don't know why you're bad. Because the truth be,
Yeah,
they're nobody's an until you're really in it for a long time, you're not an expert in it.
yeah,
But they're going, I don't know why I like that, or I don't know why I
yeah,
dislike that.
yeah, yeah,
Do you know what I mean? And you'd be an easy target, especially, you know what I mean. You were an easy target. Well, of course, because heaven forbid, you weren't from, the hills of Sligo. You know what I mean? You were, you're from up near the capital, and say no more. That's enough for us, and that's it.
yeah. That actually, that's a really interesting thing. I remember a Sunday newspaper running. When I think about it now, would they write this article now? It's not that long ago, but it was about uh, privileged people,
Right.
people born with silver spoons in their mouth, right? And they chose 20 people from all walks of life, politics and media and business and etc. And then they had me, and they said Craig Doyle is the epitome of the person. Now this wasn't a nice article, right? Craig Doyle is the epitome of what we're talking about here. Privately educated, silver spooners, blah blah blah, everything on a plate. And I'm just thinking, and I have that thrown at me quite a lot, and I never said anything, because I don't want to tell, I didn't want to let everyone know the circumstances of my upbringing, because there's no one's bloody business. But then, my dad passed away a couple of years ago, and I was thinking, Jesus, they worked hard. They
Yeah.
didn't have money. My mother had 3 jobs to pay our school fees. Thank God for post-dated checks. I was not born with a silver spoon in my mouth whatsoever. And as much as my parents aspired to maybe one day be able to buy one, um, they worked really hard. And my mother, she's still with us, thank goodness. She's an amazing woman. But I just thought, God, I grew up in Stillorgan in a semi-D house. All the lads around me went to Benildes. Great school, but hey, it was fairly normal. And they're talking about me like I was, one of the bloody Smurfets. You know,
But
that's
this
like,
that's what I'm saying.
this is not the case here, you know. I'm not knocking them either, but it was just like, I thought, yeah, I thought it just is a bit unfair. But you say nothing, you just take it, don't you? You just take the stick.
Of course you do. Yeah, of course you do. Like, I mean, I've been to on the flip side of that. Then the disappoint, like you talk up with Damo and Ivor or whatever.
Hmm.
Like I've had it openly said on air, like, going, Jesus, I mean, you just kind of lied to us and stuff. I'm like, oh, Jesus, for Christ's sake, you know. But I can get where you're coming from. That they'll make a perception regardless. You've no
Yeah,
choice in what they come up with, and there's
yeah.
no point in coming back at them because
No,
you're like,
just
what?
take it.
You're not in the same realm. Good
Yeah,
looking, thanks.
just take it. Just take it. And I was doing the panel. Remember Andrew Maxwell? He said, "I'm going to do this thing with you," where he said, I'm going to be your butler." I don't even remember Max, and I was Max's butler. It was very, very funny, but it was just easy to roll with it, and it was brilliant. It was very generous of Max. He was a very funny man because it gave me something. It gave me a character. He was giving me a character, and I said, "I'll roll with that. That's easy. I'll take that. Thanks, Max. You know what you're doing." And maybe I'm a fault for a bit of that, but yeah, funny days.
But I mean, it's you couldn't possibly have been born with a silver spoon in your mouth to work your whole off the way you work. You know what I mean? Lads don't have that work in them. I know those lads, and they don't have that level of work in them. Like, for the people listening, Craig, this will tell you a self-employed fella. Craig has COVID right now and was still going out of his mind that he texts me and goes, "Man, we do this podcast or what are we doing?" And it was like, and I'm going, only a self-employed fella would be that antsy. I figured you were going to be on holidays after the Premiership final. I said, let him have. I won't bother him for another week or two.
I'm so bored. I'm doing a podcast.
There you go.
I'm not going to lie to you.
Yeah.
I said not name dropping, but I am. Trico. I sent him an old text earlier. And he said, "How's the COVID?" I said, "So bored. I'm doing a podcast."
And I'll take it. Much like the window adverts, I will take it unashamedly, and I'm leaving that in. That's staying in. That'll actually be the clip. That'll be the clip, the promo clip for this. I was so bored that I decided to talk to Tom. And that's how we know we're in a bad way.
I didn't even know it was your podcast. I just knew there was one sitting there. Could have been anything. Could have been Dermot Gavin's gardening one. I've no idea. Was the roots? I'm only joking, Tom. Jesus, we spoke last. This was all in the diary, Tom.
I know it was. But don't
loose diary.
Look, there's a fourth wall there, Craig. Please don't. I mean, in all, like, you went from the talk shows to sports. Was there ever a point where shows were put, like you did the travel show as well? Not, you know what I mean? Not bananas. But was there shows put in your, across your desk where it's going, "We're thinking, Craig, what do you think of inflatable bananas?" Just putting it out there first. Where you're going, oh Christ.
There was a time, not so many years ago, where if they'd had that conversation, I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm in." I would have said I was in before they finished the word banana. Yeah, it's a pay. I mean, I have 4 children. People must realize that TV is scary, and media is scary because you don't have a job. You don't necessarily have a job you can plan out the next 2 or 3 years with. So you have to act on the moment. Our 4 kids to feed and educate and clothe, etc. And so, you do have conversations where you go, "Yeah, I could probably do that." I mean, we did one show for RTE that was probably, actually, I did do it. We only managed 5 of them, and then they pulled it.
What was that?
It was called The Social.
Oh, The Social. You didn't enjoy The Social.
I wasn't even on Twitter. I've never even been on Twitter. But I have to laugh, right? This really was a real eye-opener for me. So we're doing this show. We do the first show, and one of the producers, nice fella, they were a lovely team. And actually, I feel quite bad because I remember the show was pulled and I had to go and do some interviews in newspapers. And I remember starting going, "Hi, everyone. Just to let you know, the show was shite, and I know. Now, any questions?" I know if I save all the nuanced questions, what were your views? So RT didn't like that. I can't understand why. But one of the producers, he's on his phone and he's like, "Hey, we're trending. We're so trending on Twitter. Like we're just all over Twitter. It's amazing. We're trending. We're number something." I went, "Gives a look at the Twitter thing," and like every single one of them was calling me an arsehole. I was like, "Is this still good?"
That's
Yeah,
still great.
it's still
That's
great. We're
still
trending.
great.
Okay, doesn't matter what you're trending for,
It's
as
even
long as you're trending.
better it's gotten at the moment. The bigger dick you can be doesn't matter. It doesn't.
Well, there was a brilliant producer on it, and she was filling a brief in, and she tried hard, but they could probably do it now. Actually, maybe it was a little bit too soon for it, but we tried a few things. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience to do those shows for RT because I'm. Presenters say this, don't they? But I actually am quite a shy person in terms of on a one-on-one I'm great, but put me on a stage or something like that, I'm terrified, still terrified. So to go into a studio and have to kind of try and entertain an audience was really a real test for me. It was a good challenge.
It is outside
I don't
the
know how
realm.
you all do it. I don't know how
It's
go into a
completely
cold audience.
weird. It is weird to try and explain it to people, but it is, after a while, then you relish it. Because
you get
again,
scared beforehand.
No, not so much anymore. Like you can be cautious sometimes. You're going, oh, for fuck's sake, why have they got that window? That door open at the back, letting a ton of light. Things like that. You're going, can we get this shit sorted? Just typically, comedy only ever goes wrong when it's where comedy shouldn't be. You know what I mean?
Right.
Let's book a comedian. And thankfully, I don't do those anymore. But I remember I did a couple of warm-ups. I did two. Literally, I did a couple. And they didn't ask me back, nor it was for RT. It was I did at no point had no need in a comedian there, but for some reason they wanted to fill time with put in front of the studio audience who were not there for happiness. This particular show they were there to see was misery porn.
Was it prime time?
It was something that masked itself as being a bit lighter, but it wasn't. This particular night, it was cutting edge. It was Brendan O'Connor's show.
Oh yeah.
And all the people they've come.
Show. I liked that show.
Oh yeah, but there was in the two subjects he had that particular night. Brendan came out before I came out to entertain the audience, and the two subjects he had were assisted suicide and abortion. I said, but now before all that, let's have a comedian come out. And this prick walked out with a microphone, going, "All right," and they hated me. And all I could do was laugh at the moment. I went, "Why? None of us want to be here, do we?" Yeah. None of us want me here at the moment. But look, I've got 6 minutes, 27 seconds to knock out of the park here for that check to clear. So we're getting through it.
You're getting it. I don't know how you guys do it. I don't know how you do it. It's terrifying. There's a very good friend of mine, a guy called Martin Bay. Do you know Martin Bayfield? Martin Bayfield played rugby for England and the British and Irish. 6'10", monster. Yeah, real gentle giant. Amazing man. He played Hagrid's arse in every Harry Potter movie. When you see Robbie Coltrane as the Hagrid, it's actually Martin Bayfield with a Robbie Coltrane head on it. He wears his head. You have to. I'm going to get him on this podcast. He's such a great guy. I'm going to put you in touch with him. Right?
Yes.
So they made Robbie Coltrane's head, Hagrid head, and put his head on, right? And have to walk around. But he did all the scenes. Sure, he knew all the Harry Potter. He was in it for 10 years, And we still, now and again, I'll go, okay, let's hear from the coaches. Here's Hagrid's arse. But he's such a great guy. But he is the best after-dinner speaker in the United Kingdom, right?
Go away.
He's and awarded that award. He has that badge somewhere. They had a competition, and he's the best guy. And he would do three of these things a week. 600, 1,000, 2,000, 500, 250 people, doesn't matter. Boom. Every 3 of them a week. Bang, 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 bang. Just insane. And I'm like, how do you do it? I do one dinner a year. I do the Gallagher Premiership Rugby Awards at the end of the season. And I'm a gastroesophageal reflux for a week.
But again, it's
terrified.
He's knocking out 3 a week. By week 5, it's just like the engine is so hot at that stage.
But the problem is because of people like you, funny people like you and Martin Bayfield, when they invite me to do a dinner, they think I'm going to be funny.
Oh yeah.
And you're like, oh God. So you think of a joke. I spend a week. I'll tell you my opening. Well, do you want to know the opening line?
Oh yeah, please. Okay, yeah.
The opening line. and you don't know. And this is why I admire comedians so much. They're so brave. So we're in the Honourable Artillery Company in London. Okay, this is where this award ceremony is.
Swanky.
It's the oldest battalion in the British Army, and it's still their barracks, and they rented out their hall.
Yeah.
So I walk in, I go, "Good evening, everybody. Have you had a nice jubilee, eating cakes with your neighbours? You English are so funny, aren't you?" Nothing. I went, no, look, it's great as an Irishman to be here. It's the Honourable Artillery Company, the oldest barracks in the country. And, the last Irishman that was under a spotlight here was being interrogated, right? And there's not a noise. And then suddenly they start laughing. I go, "I'm only joking. He wasn't interrogated. They just beat him up. And threw him out there somewhere." And like, then you have them, right? But it took a week to build up that bravery to do that. And I don't know how you guys do it week in, week out. It would destroy me emotionally.
Yeah, the first couple of years. But some guys that never, like PJ Gallagher, can't. Like, I've gigged with him and he's selling 2,000 tickets and he's backstage incandescent.
But
He says,
so
this isn't fucking right, is it? I shouldn't still be this now. I said, no, you actually shouldn't be. They're all actually here for you. But most, after a while, also you've got two brains running. In the same way that you do live TV on the side of a pitch, or somebody could kick you up the hole. It's not a likelihood, but it's a possibility.
No, I get that actually. No, honestly, that happens.
You get kicked up to the hole a bit.
Yeah, I get kicked in the hole, and Ugo Monye has this habit of sack tapping me when I'm on. I'm like, stop doing that.
I know.
Yeah, I know. He'll get.
Yeah.
At some stage.
No, you're not. Yeah,
I'll
give
knock him out.
Yeah, I'd love to see you fight Ugo Monye.
You're like one of those, wouldn't it be like one of those?
Yeah, your entire arm crimples.
Why isn't he feeling that? Why is he laughing at me? Oh God! Stop
but you're doing live telly on the side of what you get water chucked in you. Like, we've seen lads capitulate live on telly. Like, was it James Haskell sounded like he had gone in reverse or something?
Oh yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
He sounded like the battery had fallen out and he still had one left. The poor bastard. Everybody was like, "Are you steaming?"
Here's an amazing thing, right? So what we get in our ears, what I have in my ears anyway when I'm live, is I have my ears split. So in my left ear, I hear the gallery. So that is the director, the main producer, and the PA. Okay? PA's counting down 10 seconds. 9, 8, 30 VT over, get to ad, Director's telling me the shots they have, and the producer's saying, "Okay, Craig, nice, wrap up that shot, move on to the next thing," right? In my right ear, I have TX, what's going out on your television, okay?
Yes, right.
So I hear the guys in it, or the VTs and all that kind of stuff. Now, without that, like, sometimes I'll do another company and they won't put all that in my ear. No, I want to hear them organizing dinner in the background when I'm on air. If I don't hear all those conversations, but if there's a delay, if there's like a half a second delay in your ear from your own voice, it makes you sound drunk. And I know this because when I was started in BBC, I was a bit cocky in the radio, and I used to have to present a show called BBC Radio Suffolk Business Matters on a Thursday night, right? And
oh my God, that's like honey. That's like honey, the way you just did that. It was like, that's exactly how I'd hope to hear it. I mean, I wouldn't listen to 1 second of it, but at the same time,
you wouldn't.
The intro is
you
class.
really wouldn't. Like, it'd be like, beetroot prices. And so I'd pre-record most of it. Like, and I'd just sit there, like, watching telly. And I'd have to do live bits, and the bosses knew. So they slowed down my earphones. To half a second. So the delay starts and you start speaking like this. It's very confused. Try it. And that's what they did to James Haskell. Better still, though, we had one recently where a director of rugby was doing an interview, quite a serious dude. He was doing an interview, and the director meant to speak, and the presenters are going, "Oh God, just shut him up when you can." But accidentally put it in the ear of the director of rugby who's been interviewed, and he said, "I'm hearing voices. Who said that?" And they wouldn't speak to us for about a month. Yeah, it's a mad thing. And you also, like, if I'm in a restaurant, I'm listening to conversations over here. I can't, because you just train your brain's so trained to listen You're talking about your two brains. You've two brains, so you know
But what you've
what are
done,
your
one
brains
is
doing.
you've one running ahead like a pace car. So the pace car is on ahead maybe 15, 20 seconds. And then your real brain stays with everybody else. And what that is doing is really it's perception. And almost 99% of the time it comes true. It's like this moment, you're ahead all the time. And then you have your real brain that's in the room. So you
Oh,
have your
okay.
one going, this is where this is going to hit, Tom. Now think of where they're coming from. So when you said to them, um, about coming out in the artillery that night, you were like, well, the last guy that was here. Now, the problem with why there was a pause, they
Yeah.
had no fucking idea that there was going to be any humor involved because number one, they're British, and number two, they're in an army barracks as the oldest of
Okay.
all. So they're already a bit stuffy because a lot of lads are scratching their arse, literally going, Jesus, I don't want to look at a line here. And then you're banging them with a joke straight away.
Okay. Okay.
So
So,
what you should do is either have a warm-up act or be prepared for that moment and point out
okay.
the elephant in the room. At the moment, I won't say it on air, but he'd be afraid. You'd be friendly enough with him. I'm coaching him in after
Oh.
dinner speaking.
Oh.
And
Clicko.
no,
Rob
he's
Carney. It's Rob
Jesus.
Carney.
It's not
It's
Rob
so.
Carney.
It
It's
is
not.
Rob
It's
Carney.
not. No, it's not.
Rob
It's
Carney
not.
doesn't have to. He just has to stand on stage and go, "Hi, it's Rob here." And
Cows.
then,
What's the crack? Love a bit of farming.
sorry if my jeans are a little tight tonight, but let me show
Genes, I mean, my genetic makeup. It's outstanding. Oh, do you want to see my brother? Come on in. Come on. There's two of us.
You have a brother?
There's. That's rough. That's
That's
rough.
so bad.
That's
Dave
rough.
would be okay with that. Dave.
He'd be all right.
Dave be all
Professional
right.
rugby player for 12 years. He'd be fine with that. It's the dream that it. Yeah, like, was rugby always because you did the golf and I know you did the TT. You did golf, didn't you? And you
Yeah.
did the TT, and you surely have done soccer at some stage. But was there always going to be rugby if you could get there? Like,
Yeah, rugby and golf really. Um, my I came from very much a rugby and golf household. There, my dad loved sport more than
yeah,
he would watch kind of Coke can kicking down the road if it was on. I'm gonna miss. No, he'd watch anything. And like I remember as a kid watching like 5 day test matches with Ian Botham and stuff, and going to school, going, anyone see the cricket? They're like, shut up, the cricket. But like he would watch everything, so like I was going to rugby matches from a very very young age. I was in Lansdowne, the old Lansdowne Road, in a pram, and rugby. Dad was in
so
St.
I just had a notion of you selling chocolate out of it.
Yeah, my pram. Yeah, I was in the pram. I mean, I was 26. Things had gone badly, and I was trying to flip some Mars bars. But out of date Mars bars. The so he yeah. So I was always that's what I just rugby was. We were in St Mary's Rugby Club every weekend, and then golf the Grange Golf Club, and these things. And I don't know how they paid the fees. I've no idea. I have no idea how they did all this stuff, but the we that was it. That was life, and all the good things. I was thinking about this recently. Somebody was asking me about the importance of rugby at some conference thing I was at, and I was thinking about like being there every Sunday, crew beans in a big pot, and having the lemonade and all that, and the orange rugby ball with the end. If you kicked it,
Yeah,
you'd break your foot.
yeah,
Everybody
yeah.
smashing into each other, just having a great time. And then I remember I have a very faint memory of it, but when to bring these down a bit, but when we had an infant sister who died, and it was funny. I remember Dad bringing my brother and myself to the rugby club to tell us. Do you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah,
The
yeah.
safety of that place for him while his wife's in hospital ill, and he brought us there to tell us. I thought that was really interesting what sport is, and that look, you can replace rugby club for a GAA club or whatever. It's that space, isn't it?
Yeah.
Back then, particularly for a man, it's everyone's place now. But for he probably wouldn't have felt there were many places he could go to because he didn't know what to bloody do.
Not at all.
And then all the good things, like when things were going a bit shitty in my career, it was always rugby that came back, and jobs in rugby that got me going again, so I'm very grateful for it, and I know it really well. I was a very bad rugby player.
You said that
Like,
so matter of factly. Like,
I
I will
once
tell you,
scored a
Tom.
try over the 22. Like, I put a ball down and yeah.
That is the only second time in my life I've ever heard of that. And it happened. I played, Alan Quinlan was my school's coach. Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
was he?
Yeah. But I remember we were playing some mad school. Like we'd won the Munster Cup or whatever. And we played they were mad hoovers. You know, it was one of these schools where lads, you know, they might bring a gun to school, you know, but they were just mad young fellas. And this one lad, he took off his big, strong kid and he dived over the 22. And I remember the ref kind of looked at and then looked at us and I went, oh, give it to him. Give it to him. It's fine. It's fine. Because he looks like we're only 16, 17 and this kid looked like Idamorovich. You know what I mean? Like he stayed back a few years or like, we'll leave it to your man. You can have that try.
Why does he have facial hair? What's that in his face?
Oh,
God.
Male pattern baldness in the 5th year.
Jesus. Well, those guys would have terrified me when I was a kid. So I could do all the bits. Even now, I can do keepy uppies and all the stuff with the football. But when I'm on the pitch, I look like I've been shot.
Are you all arms and legs in every
all
direction?
Arms and legs. My mother was talking to me about this because you've scoliosis. I said, no, I have a little bit of scoliosis because that's maybe why you run funny. I run funny? I run funny now, do I? I run funny. I've been running all my life and people have been watching the running going, he runs funny. Maybe it's scoliosis. Now you're telling me about
maybe it's my special legs, mama.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, what age were you when she said that? Maybe you run funny. Like how?
51. Like literally about
you'd been seen on the telly running somewhere, basically.
No, she told me recently this. Anytime I do run or dance, I have COVID. I tell you.
Oh yeah.
Anytime I run, like I won't dance. I had to dance on TV recently, and I will never do it again. It's so bad because sober, and B, I was sober. You can't dance sober.
Who made you dance on telly if you weren't in Dancing with the Stars?
It was just ridiculous. But running, yeah, I kind of when I even walk in the studios, the sound effects guys in BT, right? If I have to do a big walkie bit, and we're rehearsing it, and I'm going, and then they do this, all you hear of the sound effects is wah, 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 wah. Because I walk like a duck.
But that could be like there might be a touch of a culture in you as well, because there would be. There'd have to be like, and at some stage that genetics comes through too, and it's not even scoliosis. That's just preparation for having wellies on in a wet field. Essentially, that's all that is. There's no shame in that.
It's just from carrying stuff. It's getting you ready to carry stuff.
Oh, I swear to God, I thought I'd always a cool walk. Like, yeah, you took to 51 before your mother told you. And then it took to me being on national television. Damo and Ivor had happened. And season 1 was coming out, or episode 1. And I came down to Tipperary because nobody in the neighborhood had ever been in a comedy before. So I went sitting in my parents' place. And first 2 scenes, I was sitting down and I was driving. So they were fine. Everybody was, the accents seemed fine. And then the 3rd scene, I walk into shot. Craig Doyle, I will tell you here now. How they let me continue didn't rip up my contract. I walked from that car in Foxrock to that front door like a man who had a calf across his shoulders. It was disgusting. This weird head bob thing was just...
Oh, yeah? Oh, yeah.
Oh, my good Christ.
I look at people with a beautiful walk and I just the envy is enormous. They walk like they're gliding. Rob Kearney, Jesus, what a lovely walk. God,
I've heard it. I've heard it.
He's got a beautiful walk. Oh my God. Ryan Tubridy's a gorgeous walk. He glides. I think it's the lack of body fat. He's not carrying any baggage, any luggage.
I think he's physically, he's actually defies physics. I think he's actually floating just a couple of millimeters. I met him in Ayr Square in Galway. We were passing each other. And it was actually a gig I was doing with Maxwell. It was the opening of the comedy festival in October. And I was walked past and he stopped dead. He went, oh, it's a fantastic moustache. I went, you're goddamn right it is. and he went, do I know, you're a comedian? I said, yeah. And kind of explained the scenario. He went, God almighty. And he walked off. That moustache. But I remember now that you pointed out, subconsciously, I thought,
Yeah.
my God, that man walks like a superstar.
My TV's just come on. Hang on, my COVID TV's just come on for some reason. 1 second. Bear with me.
No worries.
Why has that happened? How's the TV come on by itself?
It's it heard Ryan Tuberty being spoken about.
That's my dad.
Did you
That's
want
my dad. That's my dad up there going, oh my God, he's so bored. He's doing a podcast.
He's gotten
Jesus,
onto the
that's
Tuberty chat.
so- but-
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Good God, it's recycling week and everything. You'll be out there doing the bins.
I know, I got him done yesterday. I'm raging for you. Raging.
Well, I can't do them. I'm not allowed downstairs. I'm completely isolated here.
Oh Christ. I'd kind of forgotten what the rules of it were.
Yeah. Well, in our house anyway, because we're going away on holidays in a couple of weeks, but all their friends are going away. It's Jesus, Dad. I'll turn the TV off. What's the problem? My God.
The ghost of Mr. Doyle goes, even this is boring the bejesus out of me.
He was never
And
that
I'm in heaven.
judgmental when he was alive.
He's probably hanging around with a bad crowd up there. That's the problem with that.
Is that your son?
He's up there with Jerry Ryan going, I wouldn't listen to him if I were you. I wouldn't. Jesus, he talks some shite. If it's not rugby, I'm not interested.
Stop that. I love the idea of the most loveliest man on the planet dying and getting in with the wrong crowd.
Wrong crowd. He's in heavenly nightclubs till 5 a.m. It's like, you should see this place, man. It's kicking.
Just imagine. And then when I die, going up to heaven and not recognizing him, and then people going, your man's nuts. He's so much fun. And then him ignoring me because I'm now not cool enough for him. Imagine that.
He's now rebuilt lilies and he's naked in the library playing the piano going, oh, he's no son of mine. He's no son of mine. He's zero crack.
Oh, God. I love that idea. Right, I'm going to play with that idea tonight in my head. Just sit there thinking about him up there. It's been a nightmare. I've no idea what we've talked about.
A whole pile of shite, really. And that's the beauty of this. Yeah. A whole pile of nothing and shite. We've learned next to nothing about each other other than we both appreciate a good walk.
I'm going to tell you Tuberty's walk. Beautiful walk. So many years ago, I played in something called Soccer Aid, right? It was the first ever Soccer Aid they had. And it was up in Old Trafford. And I was part of the rest of the world team.
Sounds like a shit soft drink. You know what I mean? From the 80s.
Soccer Aid.
It'll burn your teeth.
Not even I do that advert.
Yeah, you would. I do.
Would, yeah.
Well, if you're not doing it, I'll fucking take. I don't.
So I'm like, I'll Soccer Aid. Okay, I'll do that. And I had to go to the hotel in Chelsea for 2 weeks in the build-up to this big game. It was the rest of the world against England. So I arrive at this hotel, and they go, Mr. Doyle, actually, there's one of your teammates is over. So Ben Johnson, right?
What?
Ben Johnson, the disgraced sprinter, is there. And I'm like, hey, Ben, I'm Craig Doyle. And we chat, and we have dinner together. And then the people start arriving, and they start arriving. And we go for training the next day. And so I'm on Gordon Ramsay's team, right? Jean-Franco's. We spend weeks together anyway, and we play this match in Old. Now I'm having the greatest time ever. I'm hanging around with all Tony Adams and Les Ferdinand and Jamie Redknapp. After it was just so much fun. And they said we're going to behave like footballers, right? Ruud Hullet was our manager. We're going to train like footballers. We're going to go out like footballers. It was the best crack. But it came to the game. And I'm in the dressing room, the away dressing room in Old Trafford. There's 74,500 people in the stadium.
What?
Right. And they announced the team live on TV the night before. So I'm starting right back. In goal, I'll try and remember the whole team, but in goal, it's Peter Schmeichel's in goal, right? And then it's myself, right? Then Dunga.
What?
5 World Cups. Dunga, right? Marcel Desailly. And Gareth Thomas, right? In the midfield, it was Gianfranco Zola, some actor. I can't remember his name. Gordon Ramsay is up front with Maradona, right?
What?
David Shinola. Look, it was nuts, right? And we're playing against it's Robbie Williams, right? But then Tony Adams, Paul Gascoigne, Les Ferdinand, all these guys. And I get burnt for 2 goals. I'm awful, right? I'm awful. But we're in the changing room anyway before we go out. And what's his name? Oh God, former Alistair Campbell is on the team as well, right? And we're in
the spin doctor guy.
Yeah, the spin doctor. We're in the changing room before. Not the N17 spin doctor. N17. No, the former Labour spin doctor. Just to clarify, he takes out a set of. This is mad.
I have to clarify. Did spin doctor or saw doctors?
Did you what?
Did you say spin doctor or saw doctor?
Oh, I got mixed up between the spin doctors and the saw doctors.
We'll have Mayo fans and Galway fans.
I'm so sorry.
Doyle, if you couldn't,
sorry.
if you're trying to get, you won't leave the house after COVID after this.
There's your accent. I thought you said saw doctor.
Right. Yeah. Blame the culture.
So, look, the spin saw doctor, right? We're in this dressing room. I hope this happened. I hope I wasn't just hit by a bus and it was a weird coma dream. But we're in this dressing room and Alistair Campbell starts playing the bagpipes. And Gianfranco Zola and Maradona get up on the physio's table and start doing a jig. And we're all in this kit. And then we line up in the tunnel to go out. It's live on telly. And they play Arcade Fire. You know that amazing da, da, da. YouTube this. It's phenomenal, right? So we're in the tunnel. We're lined up. The presenters, the lights. And then the realization hits me. I run like a duck.
I was just thinking, happy feet.
I run like a bloody duck. What am I going to do? How am I going to hide?
Maradona's done 2 lines of coke anyway, so that's all right.
How am I going to hide here? So we go out in the pitch and the roar, right? 74 and a half. There's a roar of this place. It's like nothing I've heard before in my life. I'm sick. The gastroesophageal reflux is in full steam. I'm like, no, I don't want. Give me some Gaviscon. I'm in bits, right? So we all break up into little corners to just warm up and juggle balls and all that. I'm in a corner, no kidding, with Maradona and Ginola, right? David Ginola. And Maradona's like, keep you up. I can't move my legs. They're like sticks. Because the fear. Have you ever been stuck with fear?
Yeah.
It's awful. Yeah. It's like being in a dream when you're falling, right? I'm stuck with fear. And they throw the ball to me and it bounces off my knee. It's just, I don't know what I'm going to do. So anyway, we start playing anyway, and it's fine. I have a couple of good moments. I'm responsible for both of England's goals. They won 2-1. But I got to try and, I'm tracking Les Ferdinand, right, on a break into the box.
Okay.
He's on my left side. Gascoigne's making a break on the right. Ball's going to come in. It's okay. Got Les covered. Next thing, he's on the other side of me, and he's heading the ball in the net. We're like, how did that happen? Anyway, because I was shit, so it doesn't. But the point is, we're in the middle of this game, and I see a bit of space in the midfield. We're 15 minutes in. We're getting a bit cocky, and I'm going. I hear myself say, Schmeichs, Peter Schmeichel, Schmeichs.
Of course, yeah.
So he rolls the ball out to me, and I make a little break, and I see Maradona's free in the middle of the park, right? So I lay off a ball to Maradona. And I make a break up the right side, and they go, yeah, Diego, yeah.
I want it back off you, Maradona.
Passes back to me, right? And I cross the ball in for Gordon Ramsey. Standard, Saturday afternoon. But no, that's fine. So about 2 minutes later, again, I see a little bit of space. Guys are getting tired. Schmeichs, ball. He lays off the ball to me. I make a break, right? I pass it into Maradona. I see the space. I make the break up the right wing. I go, yeah, Diego, yeah. And he doesn't pass. He tries to do something tricksy, and he gets tackled. And I shout, for fuck's sake, Diego. For fuck's sake, Diego. Duck feet. Wah. For a moment, I forgot who I was.
Oh, that...
Wah.
This swings back to what I was talking about as Irish people having fucking notions about ourselves. To turn around twice to roll for the ball off, and when he didn't give it to you the second time, like all your dreams should be made when you number one got to pass it to him.
Yeah.
But then you wanted it back, and you did it again,
Yeah.
and you basically called Maradona a prick in front of 74,500 people.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't great.
Do you know what? Fuck you, Craig.
Yeah,
Going on about a rough upbringing and all the rest of it.
I didn't say rough. I just said not privileged, but maybe it was. Actually.
Yeah, I think we're putting you back on the privileged list. Number 19 at least.
I mean, no, do you know something? I'm saying not always easy. Not always easy. Isn't that the point? Anyway, he should have passed me.
That's one of the best stories. But that does sound, like, as you're saying it out loud, that sounds like something you would definitely dream of. And then it's a dream for sure, because there's a chef and an actor in there as well.
Yeah.
You're like,
the whole thing was nuts.
This doesn't make any sense at all.
The whole thing was nuts. And then about so I had a few of their numbers on my phone, they were lovely people. Like Robbie Williams, who was the captain initially, was just the nicest bloke you'd meet. I mean, just Jamie, all the English guys were great. All our lot were really good. Gianfranco Zola's like, you should come and play five-side with me, and in Sicily. I'm like, no, you're going to see me play soon, and then you're going to not want me to do that. But Jamie Redknapp is. I had his number on my phone, just from, and about a year or two later, I went to a wedding. A mate of mine is no longer with us, sadly. Also called Jamie. Jamie. His ex-girlfriend was getting married to this fabulous guy, right? And we were invited to the wedding. Myself.
The Brits do that kind of stuff, don't they? They just.
No, these are all paddies.
Oh, are they?
Yeah, these are all projects. So we're at the wedding anyway, and my mate Brian's like, oh, what a wedding! Oh my God, the new husband's fucking amazing, isn't he? Let's ring James. Let's ring him and tell him how great the new husband is, right? Because like you would, right? To tell the ex-boyfriend, who was our friend, that we're actually at the ex-girlfriend's wedding and we're having the best time.
Absolutely.
It's our duty to ring him.
Yeah.
So he goes, give me your phone. So he gets the number and he rings it. And the speaker, we're like, she's great. You're an arse. We're abusing him. And then there's a moment of silence. And all I hear is, now, this guy, James, is from Old Trafford, right? I hear a voice going, hello? Right? And I give me that fucking phone. I said, it's fucking Jamie Redknapp. I had to delete his number immediately. I said, this can never happen again. I have to pretend this moment never. I hadn't spoken to Jamie Redknapp since we were in the thing, because it was just coincident. And I just happened to have 2 years later ringing him, abusing him at a wedding for no reason at all, thinking he was another Jamie. So that's that. So that went well overall. The overall picture I've painted of a great experience.
I mean, that was a double whammy of brilliance for your mates. Not only were they going to start slag, but then they can slag you in the moment.
Yeah.
For making the bollocks of yourself in front of Jamie Redknapp.
Yeah.
Oh. But I can't let you go, because I've been fascinated when it comes to presenters of things, because I've always, how do they get it out of themselves? How do they get it out of their face? What's their prep? I'm not going to go into that shit. I don't know if you do one-handed push-ups and all the rest of it. But was it a conscious thing day one to go, I'm just going to be me, or I'm going to try and be smooth? Or how did you build into it? Is that something you learned from, had you a good mentor in the BBC? Or, because you seem to have your own slickness, you know what I mean, from the get-go. Like, slick is the wrong word. It's easy on you, if you know what I mean. No, but some amount of presenters would give you a dose. You're like, I can't go through with this. I can't.
Do you know what it is? I think, and that's why I'm so grateful to the RTE stuff. I spent a few years trying to be someone I wasn't.
Oh, perfect. You learned it at early doors,
and
right?
I thought, I actually need to be me. And it's the only way I can do it. And you know something? If they don't like it, well, that's okay.
Yeah.
I can't change it. And the minute I started just being myself, doing the things I know about, everything got better. Because there was a time I was going to just chuck it all in. I found it too hard. I hated getting abused. And just the articles and in the papers, I just didn't like it. And I thought, because you're reading it and you're going, do you know something? They're a bit right. That's the hardest. When you read something nasty about it and you go, yeah, I'd probably write that as well. And I thought, well, I just have to be myself, and then I can defend myself. And with I think what happened, I mean, I'm 10 years at BT now. When I went to BT, they were like, yeah, just we want you to just be yourself. We've seen you do stuff and we love that. Just do that. And,
Class.
I'm kind of involved in the production a wee bit there with them as well. And, at a certain level, a light level, but you can engineer things to suit you. And if you don't make mistakes, because it's not a mistake, it's just you being you. Because we
Yeah.
make mistakes in life, in a conversation, we slip up over words, and don't worry about any of that stuff. You just try and get the best of everyone, out of everyone around you. And what's lovely about sport is, and live sport is, you get to do all the cool live TV and the countdowns and red lights and the cameras and all that stuff, but you're not the star of it. You're not the center.
Yes, yeah.
Sports people are. They're top of the pile. The footballers or the rugby players or the golfers, whoever you're talking about. And then next in line are the pundits, and you live somewhere right at the bottom. But you get to do all the fun stuff without your name on the door. And I love that. It's the best thing about it.
It really is. And I suppose there's a pomp. You're not having to create a pomp either, because you're like, well, you're watching this because you want to watch a game. Yeah. Do you know, you're just the ringmaster who's happy. So I used to do these things for Heineken on the road, hosting these rugby clubs, and there'd be old rugby players and stuff come. And it was great because it wasn't like comedy clubs. You were going, this is a bit of comedy about to start. You literally go, Dennis, you stand over there, and Mick Galway, you stand over there, and that'll be fine. Everybody's going to look in this direction. But it would have done a 50 of them. They'd all gone exactly like that. And I did one with Alan Quinlan in Limerick, and the lack of shits that they could give for either one of us.
It's the worst.
Quinny was like, have you not got some trick for fucking sorting this out? I went, it's called putting your big head in front of him. I says, literally, it's all Shannon players too. He goes, of course they've no respect for me. They're all 12. I said, well, we're getting paid to do this regardless.
Yeah,
and I'm drinking free Heineken, so
just
we're plowing
head down and just get through it. I know.
And you have your own production company. Is it with Brian? It's Three Rock.
Yeah, Three Rock. So we did I was doing this awards thing, and we make a rugby show for the people who have this league, and their boss was up making a speech, and he said, also just big thank you to Third Rock. I'm like, it's not Third Rock. In my head, it's one of those things. Do you correct it? Do I correct him? And at the table of all the lads, right,
from the Sun,
all the gang from work, like Martin Bayfield and Ugo Monye and Ben Kay and Austin Healy and Sarah Elgin, Ali and all sitting at the table, crying, laughing, right, because they knew they got the name wrong. Yeah. And I walked over to them, and they said, correct him. I can't correct him. It's called Three Rock. So we made it. We excuse me. Terrible with the COVID today.
There'll be a lot of sympathy coming for you, just in case you're wondering. I've got bags of it over here. 1 second.
Yeah. We made a documentary with Brian about. I was always fascinated about people who would ask me a lot. Why, when the Irish rugby team are lined up, does everyone not sing Aaron Naveen? And I would try to. Well, if you some want to, some don't want to, some want to, but no, if they do, they might get beaten up. It's tricky. And I said to Brian, we should do something on this, and so we made that was the genesis of that documentary, Shoulder to Shoulder, which is why Ireland had this rugby team throughout the Troubles in particular, and lovely piece. It was great for Brian to do. First time he'd done something really that in depth, and it takes a long time. It's a real passion project, those things. And we made that, and the best thing to do is to set up a company to make it. And then we started doing more stuff and more stuff and more stuff. And then we started, it just got bigger and bigger. And then a big, fantastic company called Old Trafford Media, who make probably most of the shows that you watch on TV. They own all these little small production companies, wants to buy a small chunk of us, which they've done. And it's allowed me make my brother leave the BBC, Keith, and join us. And he runs the production company for us now. We're making we do loads of stuff now. We're making another documentary with Brian about mental health and retired sportsmen. And I say that deliberately. It is only retired sportsmen, because the men are a bit tick when it comes to looking for help.
Yeah.
And we we focused on them. And we make the highlight show for ITV, the rugby highlight show, lots of other material. So it's been really good. Yeah, it's great. It's good. That is for, you need, I don't know if you find this. I know a lot of comedians would write as well to
Mm.
keep that side of their brain happy when you're not performing or when you're not on camera. It's just, to have something else is very important to balance the brain.
It's deadly dangerous not writing, but and I'm not because I listen to gurus or anything like that, but I do find I get up now about 5:30, 6 in the morning, come out to this thing, and it doesn't matter what weird shit, and I mean some weird shit is written. I can't show it to some people, but it's just
Look at this not surprised face.
yeah.
What do you write about? What do you write this morning?
Sexy cats. That they're out of fucking control, Craig Doyle. They're out of control. They used to be ugly, snaggle-tooted bastards. Now all of a sudden people have these cats that they're kind of hot.
Do you want to see my hot cats?
Do you have a hot cat?
Yeah.
Go on.
There's a
let's.
good chance he might just go for it and show you his anus. That's what he.
Oh well, that's classic cat.
Any children down there? Quino, can someone bring me a cat? I'll just do the secret cat call, see if they come. Sadie!
Where did he learn this? Where did he learn it?
Can someone bring me a cat? Oh, bring Melvin up. Brilliant. I'm going to introduce you to Melvin. He's not as friendly as Sid. Sid's only one working eye. He's just wanders around looking at
like a pirate.
Great. But he thinks he's a dog, and I think he was trying to hang around. We have a boxer. He's trying to hang around with the dog all the time. Come on, bring Melvin up. Oh, he's coming up now. Melvin's a bit of a, I don't know, he's a bit of an enigma. Oh, here he is. Oh, you've got a mask on. Here, I just got to grab him. Give me a second.
This is a first for the podcast. I love this. Oh, stop. Oh, stop. What is that? It's like some Egyptian god. Am I supposed to pray to it?
This is Melvin.
Good Christ. Melvin
Yeah,
looks
right.
at me like he needs tetanus after looking at me.
Look at the eyes.
He hates me.
He'd eat your face.
He
I think he'd eat
like the lack of respect that cat has for me. It's not
for any human.
But you know, I'm kind of okay with it. You know, like servants in Downton Abbey are happy to be servants. Whatever it is about looking at your cat. What kind of cat is that? It's got sleeves.
Siamese.
A Siamese.
Is he? Hang on. Is he a Siamese? Yes.
Okay, that's case in point. Case in point.
I think he's purring in French.
It's actually Mesopotamian, but you know,
yeah.
I learned it. You wouldn't know anything about that because I'm a fucking cat.
He's actually purring in tongues.
But you see what I mean? That this is for some like
so
that cat is way too good looking.
About them? Did you write a story about cats doing? Like, what was the story?
No, it didn't. It didn't get into me banging any cats. But what it was is that it's out of control, and we need some sort of legislation to bring in about it because I can't. And it's no offense, but this actually goes counterclockwise because it's normally really absolutely buck to the root ugly people that have these astronomically good cats. As you pick cat hair out your mouth.
I know, yeah. I know. It's really bad.
But this was, it was, but again, that was this morning's thing. And it was like, well, that's out of the way now. Let's see. It may or may not go anywhere at all, but it had to get out of my head.
Like, where could that turn into, would that be like a sketch?
It'll be a bit for stage.
Maybe a book, would you know, what, like, when you get an idea, do you think, I'm not going to put a lid on this. It can go anywhere it wants to go.
Absolutely.
Is that how
absolutely? And there's only one way to trial it, and that's to take it to the stage. I'm in the Roisin Dove in Galway tomorrow night, and that's where it'll start.
Right. Okay.
And it'll be literally, and because it's one of my, it's probably a second home to me at this stage. For literally, I will go with it, and if it's going nowhere, I go, well, we'll fucking cap that one, but
yeah.
We'll get somewhere with it because I still have a duty to people that paid for a ticket. Yeah. We'll get somewhere with it because if it made me kind of go, then there's enough there. There's enough there, and we'll come back then later in the year with a product because there's a seed. Once you plant that seed, you're off to the races.
I think they're a source of, because they're funny without trying too hard, cats, right? And I like the way they choose when to hang out with you, and they come up and they rub the face, and and just when you think you got them. You go, I actually have something. They just turn around and they show you their bum hole and
Yeah.
walk off, and it's like they're laughing at you. I like that about them. You know, the dog is just simple. He's just like, oh, I'm grateful. I'm just always grateful. You know,
Aren't we sad creatures that the ones we're drawn to or impressed by are the ones who kind of think we're a piece of shit?
and that, my friend, is marriage.
This has been an entire podcast of us both kind of going, we're both a bit shit. And then you bring a cat in that looks hotter than 10 times the people we know. Like, you put a pair of trousers on that cat, and I swear to God, it's getting elected. It's too good looking, wandering around. Be a local councillor.
I just wanted to say Mia Varadkar there so much, but I thought that would be a bit cheesy, but you can have that.
It is low-hanging fruit, and I'll let you have it. I'll let you have it. I won't take up, I know you're bored out of your tits, but I won't take up any more of your time.
Any other podcasts?
We're starting a whole brand new one right now, and it's all about rugby. We didn't hardly touch on rugby once, which I was going to, but sure.
Okay, I'll give you a 10-second rugby answer on. I promise it'll be 10 seconds on a rugby question.
Was Edward Van Espik everything he was cracked up to be when it came to history?
Yeah. Yes. Apparently no one knew the game better. And one of the most respected writers ever.
You shit the bed on that one, didn't you? You thought I was going to ask you something about our Leinster. I don't know. That's what's wrong with me, Craig. Shit like that comes into my head, that I haven't thought of that man since a documentary I saw on VHS or a book of his I read, I don't know how many decades ago.
I'll just throw this at you. That's a good name for a sexy cat.
It is a great name for a sexy cat. Jesus. Well, I mean, we overshot ourselves with our dog. Our dog is a miniature schnauzer called Baroness. And she actually won the nose of Wicklow, the nose of Tralee, and she was the Wicklow nose. Yeah. Well, when we lived in Wicklow.
This exists.
My wife finds these things. I didn't know.
Was this the little dog show they'd have up? Because when you lived in Enniskerry, it's obviously like a little bit of England. It's like Surrey or Sussex.
All our neighbours went, good morning.
Church. Yeah, up by the church. There's like, I would say 1 in 10, maybe 2 in 10 are English in Enniskerry. They have a little dog show, don't they, up by the church? Is that where the nose?
Yeah.
But I brought up some rough dogs up there. I brought lurkers and stuff up there with cuts on them just to shake it up.
Hey, that's not no way to speak about ex-girlfriends prior to your wife. I get you. No, it was countrywide. It was actually country. It was over.
Okay.
We brought her up there, but we got shunned because we didn't have the right accent when we went up there that time. But we lived amongst all those people, our neighbours who shared a drive with us, who were very proud to be Irish, of course. I'm like, really? Because they'd
have never heard or seen anything like you ever.
I was definitely in education, if nothing else. But it was hilarious. They used to quiz, because we shared a gate. Like, they would quiz friends of mine who might press, who would pull up to the gate. I remember one friend, he's from Belfast, Colin Geddes. Now, he's a big man, but he pulls up in a brand new Range Rover. He looked the part from a distance, but when you get close, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ. He played Ulster Schoolboys, covered in tats. As he said himself, looks like he would definitely protect a very wealthy Eastern European man. Do you know, that's who he looks like. Well, she quizzed him for 10 minutes before he even got to say hello to me. And it was the first time visiting. He's like, here's this fucking wagon outside. I said, that's the neighbour. That's the neighbourhood, in fact. You know what they're like.
Probably thought you were a lotto winner.
Do you know, it took him about a year, and then my landlord let it slip that I had been on television a couple of times. And then all of a sudden we were absolutely besties. It was fantastic. And I used to pop down to get sourdough for all of us in Avuka on Saturday mornings. It was fantastic.
There's a friend of mine lives in Cabinteely, and he's moved, people who do really well in life, but they're trying to keep a little kind of lid on themselves. So they move house, but in the same estate.
Yeah.
We're going to have that one. I've walked past that one for 12 years.
It's got a slightly bigger driveway. Yeah.
Slightly bigger driveway, but he lived in this house, and it was, look, he's done really well. He's a great businessman, but he's done really well. But he loves gadgets, the newest TVs and the newest, oldest. One day, a load of kids arrived at his house. They knocked at the door. And he opened the door and went, hi. And he went, yeah, Mum says you won the lottery. So I don't think you're meant to tell me that. But yeah, love that stuff. God, what am I going to do now for the rest of the night?
Listen, we'll just stay
Silence.
texting each other because it was like a
Right.
weird, for anybody who's wondering how it came about, we were texting each other back like the most flirtatious teenagers at the Wesley night disco. It was ridiculous. We didn't know what each other wanted from it, but I think we got a lot from it in the end, Craig.
I still don't know what we've talked about.
It was what it was is verbal fondling for about an hour and
Was
20
it?
minutes. Yeah. So we both come away. I mean, we're both unscathed. I think everybody can appreciate that. Neither one of us, going to be ringing the guards about the situation or
No,
anything. I
we
think
haven't
we're both
shamed
happy.
ourselves.
No,
There's
I don't think so.
no need for anything to worry about.
Truth be told, it all absolutely shit the bed and went downward as soon as you brought that cat in, and
Yeah.
I can't compete with that cat.
Changed things, didn't it? Should have brought Sid in. He would have calmed the room.
Craig, Doyle, thank you so much. This has been brilliant, crack. If nothing, just to take the boredom away from you. Albeit your old man is looking, going, Christ, he's a boring young fella.
Oh my God, he's on a podcast. Do you know what he'd say? Do you know what he'd say? He'd look down and he'd go, "The fuck's he doing? He's on a fucking podcast." And he'd turn around to his mate and goes, "What's a podcast?" He would be giving out about something he didn't know about. He just wouldn't like the look of it.
Yeah. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. I don't like it.
Oh God, they're great. Well, that was fun.
Thank you very much.
What time's next week's one?